I technically was born for my sister to take from. I'm a saviour sibling, which was the only reason my parents had a second child. They were one and done with my sister, but when she was 2, she got sick, and so they had me to save her. Growing up, I felt every bit of the lack of interest my parents had in me. Before I hit middle school, I knew that my parents had me for one reason only. Yes, I saw them adore and spoil my sister and ensure she had everything. I watched her grow up with devoted parents while I had none. Because of how we were raised, my sister and I were never close. She was used to getting what she wanted and being spoiled. I was forgotten until she needed something like blood. If I ever happened to have something she wanted, you bet my parents let her have it, and they had no time for me complaining about it. They had no time for me, period. I'm sure on some level they were grateful that I'd fulfilled my purpose, but no one will ever convince me that they love me. We're both in our 20s and my sister has tried to have a relationship, but it's still a lot of her wanting her way and for me to pay for her, but she gets to choose where we go and what we do. I'm expected to give her food off my plate. She ignores me when I bring up how our childhood wasn't perfect, as she talks about. She brings up how I wasn't present for stuff, and, in the same sentence, we'll talk about it being the best day. Eventually, I stopped saying yes, or if I did, I refused to pay and refused to go along with what she wanted, and we saw each other far less. I also heard from her far less, which to me said she didn't really want a sister. She just wanted the person she was used to getting whatever from. A couple of weeks ago, she showed up at my house where I live with friends and our partners, and she told me she needed a place to stay and attempted to invite herself in. She looked rough, so I told her she could get some food and something to drink, but she needed to stay somewhere else. I suggested she call our parents. She didn't want to go anywhere else and tried to befriend my boyfriend and the other partners, since she knew my friends didn't like her. I made it very clear and insisted she figure something else out. She told me I should be more willing to help her and why I never wanted to do anything for her. I snapped at her, saying that I was so tired of her taking from me and acting like it was what I was born to do. I told her our parents might have had me for that reason, but I'm more than that, and I never had a say in any of that, and if she wants to talk about things not being fair, then she should think more about that. She had a very explosive reaction and left. She said afterwards I sucked for blaming her for our parents' actions. It just frustrated me because she didn't acknowledge her actions. However, the reasons my parents had me isn't her fault. She had no choice in that. She was a toddler, so my way of bringing out my frustrations with her might have been cruel. Am I the idiot? Edit, I've had no contact with my parents since moving out of their house. I haven't addressed anything with them. I learned it was pointless trying to talk to them because they never cared about me, my well-being, my future, or my life. I was subjected to medical procedures and surgeries as a child. I'm looking for a therapist right now. OMG, I'm horrified. I'm so sorry you endured that. My heart really aches reading this, and I'm sending you virtual hugs. I wish for you to make your own family and be blessed with the love and happiness you couldn't have in your childhood. Not the idiot, not even a little bit. What your parents did to you, the way they treat you, is not normal. Yeah, she definitely leaned into her parents' behavior. She never seemed to even consider that what they did was wrong, and it's on her to make amends for her part in that. OP, she's refusing to accept blame for how selfish she's always been. That's on her. Forgiveness starts with an apology, and she owes you a big one. Not the idiot for keeping her out of your home, which is your safe space. That's the thing with golden children. Because they get the attention, they don't think about what it's like not to get it. Even worse here because OP was treated as a resource rather than a person by their parents. I'm genuinely sorry that your parents treated you like spare parts and that they taught your sister to do the same. Go cold turkey as soon as possible on the fam. You served your purpose to them, so cut them off. It's your life now. I tell her to leave you alone, or if she's persistent, get a restraining order. I doubt their behavior will ever change, and you don't owe any of them anything. My friend Miles and I have known each other since we were 2 because our parents are best friends. Now, Miles is not my best friend. He's a good friend and we hang out occasionally. Still, we see each other on all major holidays because of our parents. We're in our early 20s. The problem started because of a dumb childhood memory. When we were 8, we had a wedding play on school aftercare. I played the bride and Miles the groom. It was a play with horrible songs and uncoordinated kids. Obviously, our parents made pictures and videos of that, and we each have one picture on our family picture walls. Miles is dating Lindy. They met 3 years ago and started dating last year. Lindy doesn't like me, so every time we coincide at a celebration, she comments about me being the typical girl best friend. She once said that I secretly wanted to sleep with Miles. I have no idea where she got that impression from. Miles and I have different friend groups and schedules. Besides the monthly catch-up over food, we didn't really meet that much. Things got worse when Lindy saw the wedding play picture. The comments just got more. She even started DMing me on Instagram saying she knew what game I was playing. I talked to Miles once about this, and he told me to give her time. So his birthday was on Saturday and I was invited. Lindy wrote to me, saying something along the lines of how she was going to supervise me. This was their first birthday as a couple, and I could not take up his time. I was fed up. I tried talking to Miles again, but he said the same thing. So I just skipped out. When the party started, I wrote a quick sorry I couldn't come and told him my mother would bring his present. Now he's upset with me for missing his birthday. Lindy is mad that I made it all about me, and my parents are upset I missed a family function. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. Miles's girlfriend is insanely insecure and jealous of you. You've tried talking to Miles about it, but he won't do anything about it. You're basically getting threatening messages from her at this point. Of course you don't want to be around her. Your parents should understand that their relationship with Miles's parents is just that. Their relationship. It's not a family function, whatever they wish it to be. The onus shouldn't fall on you to maintain a friendship with Miles if it isn't working for you under the current circumstances. I hope you two can work things out since you've been friends for so long, but you don't have to if it doesn't work for you, and you don't need to feel guilty about it. OP should also show the messages to her parents and Miles and let those messages do the talking, instead of trying to explain it herself. Why is it okay to take crap just because you know them? I can never understand that mentality. Good on OP for not attending the party and giving the girlfriend a chance to insult OP more. Seriously, OP, if the parents expect your involvement, they need to know the truth about why you weren't there. My fiancée Jamie, 28 male, has a stepmother, Ellen. Jamie isn't close to Ellen or his dad, so she approached me instead of Jamie. 3-ish weeks ago, Ellen showed up at our house and asked me if I could help her surprise Jamie with a dance for them at our wedding. She told me she'd hoped he would ask or honour her as the groom's mother in some way. Still, as more time passed and she heard nothing from him about the wedding, she realised he wasn't planning to dance with her or make her feel special. She told me she loved him since he was 3 years old, when she first met him, and becoming his mom officially had meant so much to her. But he had never acknowledged her as the sole mother figure since he was 5, and she felt like it was only right and fair that on his wedding day that happen. For context, Jamie's parents divorced when he was 1, his dad met Ellen when he was 3 and they married when he was 5. Jamie's mom died just 3 months after the wedding and Jamie moved in with his dad and Ellen full time. I knew Jamie would hate it and would never agree to dance with Ellen. She acknowledged this and told me how much it broke her heart that he always rejected and denied her as his mother. So she wanted to do something where he wouldn't say no, and they could have a moment, and she could have that mother-son moment he'd refused to give her his whole life. She told me how much it hurt her that Jamie never returned any love or affection for her, and disliked her in a way that stung worse than anything because she always tried to give him the love, affection, and the mother he needed. Nothing she did was good enough, and she always lived in the shadows of his mom. I could see how upset it made her, but I still said no. I knew Jamie wouldn't want to, which was enough for me. She tried to convince me but couldn't, so she asked me not to say anything. I didn't agree or disagree. I didn't want to fight with her, but I did tell Jamie. Jamie wasn't happy, but he said nothing at first. Then Ellen asked him directly, and after telling her no in the clearest way possible, he also read her the riot act for going behind his back and trying to force this on him via me, and of course she was angry that I told Jamie. She accused me of making things worse between them. Jamie told her I'd done nothing wrong and that supporting him was not making things worse, but her refusal to accept that he will never ever see her as his mom is doing a good enough job of that. She texted me a few hours after the confrontation telling me I knew it would make things worse. I told him anyway, which made me untrustworthy and a troublemaker. I blocked her after showing Jamie the text. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. Your loyalty lies with the person you're building a life with. Protecting your partner is the priority. You did exactly what you should have. Stepmom's refusal to be accountable in any way for trying to prioritize her needs via betrayal tells me why your fiancé keeps her at a distance. Good grief, this woman is atrocious on so many levels. I would consider having a couple of people tasked with keeping a close eye on her at your wedding so she can be distracted or diverted or removed if necessary. I would also put your DJ on notice not to do anything she asks. She seems like someone who would still try to make her moment happen. Agreed. Ellen is a piece of work though. I wouldn't blame you if you disinvited her to the wedding. Good on you for not entertaining her insane request. What kind of deluded person thinks it's okay to spring a surprise mother-son dance on their stepchild at their wedding? You did exactly the right thing, OP. You cannot trust Ellen with anything to do with the wedding, or frankly, with anything ever. I can't imagine what it would be like if you two had kids. She would be a nightmare. A few years back, 7 of my friends from high school and I decided that no matter where we lived or how busy we would meet each other for brunch once a year for the rest of our lives. We don't have an exact date, but we usually pick a week in June or July when it's warm and fly or drive to our hometown for bottomless brunch at our favourite spot. Remember that for some of us, this is the only time of the year that we see each other. I, in particular, live 2,500 miles away, so I hardly see any of these girls. Regardless, it's always been a good time until recently when one of my friends, Rue, didn't stop commenting on my food intake. For some background, I am and always have been a very active person. I ran track and cross-country for our college and now compete in ultra-marathons. For this reason, I eat a lot of calories and I stay pretty thin. I also eat reasonably healthy, balanced meals most of the time. However, nothing is off limits for the one day a year at our favourite restaurant. I eat plate after heaping plate of cheesy eggs, pancakes, hash browns, sausage and bacon. Literally, I could eat the entire menu. Rue has always been on the heavier side. While I don't pay attention to someone's weight changes or eating habits, Rue points it out, so I can't help but notice. Every year I eat nothing but oatmeal and I keep getting bigger and bigger, and OP is over there gorging herself and is stick thin. It's like every calorie OP eats shows up on my body. Soon my friends started to chime in, saying I was lucky to have such good genetics and could eat whatever I wanted. This really bothered me in part because it completely invalidated the work I do to maintain my healthy body, but also because I could tell Rue was frustrated with her weight and I felt my friends were doing more harm than good. I explained that I don't normally eat like this, I also exercise very frequently, and that people shouldn't look at a snapshot of someone's life and think that's how they live daily. I also said eating salads for every meal and never enjoying a meal out with friends will make her more frustrated, which will slow her progress. I thought this would be helpful advice, but my friends all looked at me livid. One of them called me incredibly privileged and said I wasn't aware of my privilege and accused me of shaming Rue. The rest of them followed suit and told me to get off my high horse. Eventually I'd had enough. I said I was just trying to help and that they were only going to hurt Rue. Rue was silent the whole time. I packed up my things, paid my bill and left. I'm feeling torn because it's been a few days and none of these people will talk to me. I reached out to the person in the group I was closest with and she said I really overstepped and should apologize to the group and at least to Rue. I had good intentions, but if these people won't talk to me, maybe I screwed up. Did I? Not the idiot. You absolutely did not screw up and didn't say anything wrong. They brought up the weight and calorie intake. They incorrectly assumed genetics and not all the effort you put into your daily activity to train as you do. But you will never win with these people. If your friends don't want to talk about weight, don't bring it up and make assumptions. Giving tips to avoid failure is not a privilege. Also, the double standard being held against you isn't right. Rue gets to say anything she wants because she's overweight, but because you're fit, you have to endure what she says without saying anything back? That's not fair and shouldn't be tolerated. Everyone's the idiot here. Your friends shouldn't comment on what you're eating, period. However, it sounds like all of your friends were commenting, even if Rue was the one who started talking first. So it probably would have been better to shut them all down, not make the interaction about advising or fixing Rue's habits. Although she was rude at first, it didn't improve anything. You also commented about her body and habits uninvited. You also focused on Rue when all of your friends behaved inappropriately. In general, you all should stop commenting on each other's bodies or healthy habits unless one of you asks for advice. My wife and I have been married for about 8 years now. I had a pretty generic middle-class upbringing, while her family would be considered old money. I have no idea how much wealth they actually have, but it's multi-generational, and needless to say, they'll never worry about money. They never give us cash outright, but for each of our kids' births, they set aside $100,000 in an interest-bearing account for their college, and they've been extremely generous with the vacations they've taken us on. My wife and I both have pretty good jobs. While we have the security of knowing if we ever needed it, they'd help us, we are able to support our not very fancy lifestyle ourselves. In July, we were going on a trip with our kids and her family, including the nuclear families of her 2 siblings and then a few family friends. Mother-in-law and father-in-law are paying for everything, including the flights, the villa we're staying at, and various meals and activities. This will be the 5th vacation like this they've taken us on, not including our honeymoon they paid for. I never imagined being this close to that kind of wealth before, but I have to say they've been nothing but welcoming and generous with me, even offering me high-paying jobs I probably don't deserve and offering to pay for my grad school if I choose to go. My sister recently asked me what my summer plans were and if I had any trips. I told her about this one, and she got noticeably annoyed and jealous. She asked me why I'd never asked about inviting her and her family since other family friends get invited often to these big trips. Some have had 10 to 20 non-family members there that they hosted and paid for. To be honest, I never even thought about asking to include my relatives in that, but I feel that had come off as a little greedy, so I just don't. I told her that and she thought I was being selfish. I think a lot of it is just jealousy, which I can understand because she's complained about never going to Europe and it's splurging for her to just go on a regional vacation. I do feel like it is totally unrelated to my situation though. You are married to their daughter. You are the +1 in this case, which gives your sister 0 reasons to expect to be included. You are family. Your sister is not family. Inviting her would absolutely seem greedy and inappropriate. Your sister is in the wrong here. Jealousy is one hell of a thing. You are not the idiot. Oh, come on. I would ask my spouse jokingly about it one time just to get a feel and test the waters. Who knows? Maybe you'll get lucky about it. OP, have you told your wife? What does she think? What if they said, yeah, we'd love for them to come along. We always thought you kept them away for a reason. In the end, I think you should have asked your wife, and if you didn't, then you are the idiot.